and welcome back to Becoming God's Prodigy. Happy New Year. It is 2024. I'm excited to really just get into the year and see what God has in store for me. 2023 was not a bad one, but it did come with a lot of challenges, and I just hope that 2024 um, is even greater than 2023 because I had a really great year. I know the last time that we spoke was the week before Christmas, maybe. Um, and I was speaking about just being patient and like in the waiting season. I'm still in the waiting season, and I found myself getting like very tired of being in this state and being in this season. Um, More so like impatience, like just very impatient about it, a little bit anxious about it, if I'm being honest, like just worrying because I'm like, okay, well, what's next? Like, what's next? It's really been a challenging season for me because I don't have any control over it. Everything is literally in God's hands. It's nothing that I'm doing, and it's not in my own timing. So it's been a little bit scary. Um, but this week, I wanted to talk about being weary, but not being weak. Um, mm, I feel like although God has allowed tests and trials to be a part of our stories and be a part of our growth. He didn't make us weak. He built us to be strong. He built us to stand on his word. Like he's given us everything that we need to succeed. It's a matter of now doing the work and applying it to my life so that I can succeed. Um, and right here lately, like if I'm being honest with y'all, like there's been a lot of like weakness, doubt. Just I really have not been at my best. Like even though like nobody could probably tell. Obviously, my boyfriend, shout out to him, he's so supportive of everything that I do. He knows, like close family knows, like close friends know that it's like really been getting hard, and it's easy for me to like expound on my weaknesses and just things that I haven't quite gotten figured out or have all together. And I found myself, I was praying and I'm like, girl, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by the trick of the enemy, the lies that he's telling me about, the qualifications not being good enough, like feeling like you're not enough or you're not qualified enough to be seeking something so big or something so great. And I think back on it, like I was really thinking about it. I was just like really thinking. I'm like, when you're in this season and in this state, you start thinking about everything. You start thinking about like what's making me think like this. That's how it's been. And I know I was praying, and one thing that expounded on me, I know I mentioned to you all previously that I'm adopted. I'm adopted. So then here goes the devil with his lies, his tricks, and things. And he's like, well, what makes you think, that you could have all these things, that you're different from anyone in your family or the people around you? Like, it's all of this stuff like that he's feeding into me. And at this point, my spirit is weak. Even though I've been praying, I did not want to get up and pray. Like I'm just kind of going through the motions at this point because I'm just feeling like, Jesus, like I'm doing everything that you said to do. I feel forsaken. I feel forgotten about. I feel in the dark. I feel left behind. I feel just like you're not here for me. Honest to God feeling. I feel like you're not here for me in my time of need as I'm doing everything that you're telling me to do. And I feel like you've left me here. You've left me here. You speak to me every now and again. And I'm like, it's like you speak to me when you want to speak to me, but it's kind of the same thing I've been doing to you for the entire course of my life. So how can I truly be upset? But it doesn't feel good when it's reversed and put back on to you. Right? It's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. I'm like, I feel forgotten about. I feel like everything that the devil is telling me, you're not good enough. You're not going to be good enough for, you don't get to break the chains and go to new heights. You don't get to break the barriers. You don't get to do any of the things that you thought that you were so great, that the Lord told you you were so great enough to do. You don't get to do that. And right now, I'm showing you because you're so low at this point. You're so low at this point that you're going to believe what I'm telling you. And he was right. He was right. And it's literally about to make me cry because it's just like, oh, I should have bought some tissues. It's literally like, I was listening to that and I was believing that because of the season that I'm in right now, like not being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And so I'm like, look, at this point, I'm not okay. I am not okay. I'm like, girl, you all right? No, I'm not okay. So I'm like, you know what? I really need to get out of my head. I need to get out of these thoughts. And then it just kind of like trickles down. Like when you, for me, like when I go to that space of, listening and feeding off of the lies that the devil is trying to, it goes down. You think that the trauma that you've had in your childhood is renewed and has been repaired. And then it just all comes right back up. It's like, oh, yeah, you might be right. Um, maybe I'm not good enough. Not maybe like I'm a small town girl. I come from two different families at this point because I am adopted. Like, what was wrong with you in the first place that your family before felt the need to give you away, right? No, no, everything. And I had a moment where I had to, like, girl, you know better. Snap out of it. You know better. Like, the Lord saw what you could be and how good you could be and all the great things that you could do. So he removed you from that family and gave you a new one so that you could succeed, right? And be on the path to success and do all the things and be exposed to him in the ways that he wanted me to be exposed to him all throughout my life. Has nothing to do with the season, but that's really how the enemy works. Like he weighs on the weaknesses like of your childhood, and it affects your adult relationships, and it affects your friendships, and it affects how you feel like you're not qualified, or how you feel all these things, right? Because he doesn't want you to be all that God has called you to be, right? And as I was praying and as I'm thinking, and I'm like, everything that you're going through has a purpose. Everything has a plan. Everything has a reason. Don't be tricked. Don't be fooled. Don't let the devil play on your weaknesses, because he will do it when he feels like your spirit is weak. It just takes a small little opening for him to, give him an inch, he take a mile. Yeah, he gonna take the mile every single time if you let him. But also too, I'm like, God has not placed me anywhere that he has not prepared me for. So even in this season, even though it's a little bit uncomfortable, it's a whole lot uncomfortable, even though it's a whole lot uncomfortable, and it's just like truly trusting in things that I cannot see, or I do not know about. This is so out of my comfort zone. And I am a little bit of a control freak. I like to be in control of almost everything. If I can't control it, I probably don't want to participate. And that's just what it is. I don't want to take part in anything I can't control because I can't control it. And so I feel like it's one of those things where he's pushing me out, but even still, like everything that has led me up into this point, that has led me into this season, God has prepared me for it. So I was a little bit stuck. I'm like, what am I going to talk about this week? What am I going to talk about this week? Talk about what you're going through. Talk about what you're going through, how you've been feeling kind of weary and you're just tired. So I was praying. I had started another devotional. Y'all know I'm going to be an advocate for the devotionals, especially for somebody like me. It just holds me accountable like each day. Look, you have to read the Bible to some degree because I'm not a heavy Bible reader. I know one day I will be, but right now that's just where I'm at. I got to take the baby steps, right? So I stick to like devotionals and plans. And actually my sisters, like, and really my closest friend group, we are doing it together. So it's even better because it's like you don't want them to text the group chat talking about the devotional and you ain't read the devotional and did your Bible study for the day. So I won't be embarrassed in that way. But I'm like, strength. And really, what sparked it, I was on the phone with my best friend and we were just talking. I'm not really sure where the conversation had kind of led up to, but we were just talking and she's like, Star, you're really strong. And I'm like, me? Like, I'm strong? Like, she's like, yeah, you're really strong. Like, I feel like like you've been through a lot, but you don't really show it. And I'm like, oh, or like you handle it well. I think those were her words. And I'm like, oh, well, thank you. And I made a comment to her and I said, I don't know that I really handle everything so well. I think I handle it in a way that is kind of covered up. It's like, for instance, like I was just speaking about the control, right? Control thing. I didn't have a lot of control over the things that were happening in my life as a child, leading up to the adoption, leading up, foster care, everything that transpired before we even got to that point. I had no control over it. So I feel like that is a defense mechanism for me to control the things around me. Right? What can I be in control of? And that was another thing with my job that I really didn't like because it was so unpredictable that you could only control it after it had already happened. Like you could do everything for like preventative measure, prevent. I'm a public health girly. Preventative measures are the things that we do. But it was still like in my mind, like I don't have any control over these people. I don't have any control over these residents. I don't have any control over anything. I am just like the fixer upper. I'm the preventer and then I fix, right? And there was always something that was a little bit uneasy about my line of work because the level of control that I had. And I think that's even more important now in the season that I'm in because of the control mechanism that I have over my life and the things that I think that I need to be in control of. And God is really showing me that, girl, you don't need to be in control of everything. At the end of the day, I am in control. So after that conversation, I was praying, I was doing my devotional, and it just came to me, weary but not weak. And so I looked it up and I'm like, let's talk about strength. Let's talk about strength. Let's do that. I looked it up and I did a little research for y'all. So y'all need to feel important. Because I got on the Google and I said, strength was mentioned in the Bible 360 times, at least 360 times in the realm of natural and supernatural. And one of the verses that had stuck out to me was Ephesians 6 and 10. Be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Now, another one was Jeremiah 9:23 through 24. And you do not and cannot do it all by yourself. And that is one thing that I know, but it's something that I'm starting to put into practice. You can't do it all by yourself. You're not going to be able to do it all by yourself. That's why the Bible mentions strength naturally and supernaturally, because there's only so much that you can do, and your strength comes from the Lord. Like, God's strength allows you to overcome things. So when you're in these seasons and you're just so tired and you're growing weary, and the devil is trying to feed off of that tiredness, and just you just feel kind of low and kind of weak, know that the Lord is your strength, and he didn't allow you didn't get to the point that you are by yourself. He's not going to allow you to finish it out by yourself, but you just need to trust in him, continue to just seek him, and know that your strength comes from the Lord. When you start relying on yourself to do things, like, oh, I got it, I can just do it. Oh, I was doing this, I was doing that. Like, that's when, you find yourself out there on a limb, and then you're calling out and calling out and calling out for Jesus, but you made all these grand decisions and didn't even consult with him. Like, you didn't even ask him, what is it that you want me to do? What is it that you want me to learn from this? And even, God, look, while I'm down here on my knees and I'm feeling stressed out and I'm feeling weak, I'm feeling a little tired by it, help me. Help me give it to you, surrender it to you, so that you can be my strength and lift me back up, put me on my feet, right? Like, I am excited. I really am excited, even though I really am tired. And I told God, I'm like, I'm a firm believer in God knows your heart. There's no need for me to just kind of sit here and act like, you know, it's all good. I'm like best buds, because at the end of the day, like, I view my relationship with God just as a relationship with a person, like a human that's here on earth. Like, I'm gonna get a little frustrated with you, just like he's gonna get frustrated with me when I'm not doing what it is that, he's told me to do, or I'm getting distracted, not being obedient, whatever it might be. And I'm like, God, I'm ill now. I'm getting real tired. I'm getting real tired of this. But at the end of the day, know that even though I'm frustrated, that doesn't mean to stray away from what I believe or stray away from what I've been working for, because it's not happening for me right now. And I too am a firm believer that when you are feeling like, what's the point? Like, literally, what's the point? Because I was almost there, like, just last week. I was on the phone with my aunt. I was on the phone with my best friend. I'm just like, bro, I'm so sick of this. I'm literally so sick of this. What's the point? Like, what is the point? Like, it's starting to get on my nerves, and I just kind of wanted to waddle in my own pity. But even in that point, like, it's like, if you're in my mind, I'm like, if you're starting to feel like that, you're close to something. You're close to something, because that's when the devil starts, his tricks, and trying to say and do all of these things that, maybe you haven't healed from, or try to just feed off of the emotion that you're showing or the things that you're saying. Because when they say it's power in the tongue, it really is power in the tongue. You don't know what you're saying out loud might have an effect on your journey and the things that you have to endure and the barriers that you have to overcome because of what you let fly out of your mouth. And I feel like when I felt that low and just that tired of the whole situation altogether, I'm like, my breakthrough is coming. It might be so close that I can taste it, but it's coming. It's coming. And that was motivation for me to kind of like snap out of that, snap out of just the whole pity party, like, in the temper tantrum, because that's really all that it is. Anybody that knows me know is not my favorite word. It will never be. I'm like, that is foreign language to me. What do you mean? No, please stop it. Like, I, I'm throwing a tantrum and I need to get over it because I feel like I'm prolonging my journey by being disobedient. Girl, you need to get up, you need to pray, you need to do your devotional, you need to get in your word, have and spend time with God. And the longer that I'm not doing that, the more that I'm going to be in this season, right? So it's not that I'm trying to rush the season, but I'm like, let me take it in instead of complaining and setting myself back. Let me just take it in, embrace what it is, see what it is that God is trying to show me and build up in me, so that in the end, when the blessing does come, when the door comes open and God starts pouring out all these things that are so big for me, that I am able to receive it and know how to handle it, right? Because I truly believe that even in this season, like, even though I'm waiting and I'm learning so much about, just kind of getting out of my comfort zone, it's going to be something that I'm going to have to use when the next season gets here. So, all of that to say, even though you may be weary, you may be tired, you may feel like giving up, you are not weak. You are not weak. God didn't make any of us weak. He made us all in his image, right? And God ain't weak. There's nothing too big, there's nothing too small for God to handle, for him to just deal with, to get rid of, to bring in. There's nothing too big or too small for him. So don't try to do it all yourself. Give it to God. Fully surrender it to God. Literally. Last thing, y'all, I promise. This devotional, it's an obedience devotional. I ain't gonna talk y'all to death about the devotional, but it's an obedience devotional, 10 days, right? And it talked about just giving it to God, right? Surrendering it to God and praying about everything, right? Praying about everything. No matter what it is, pray about it. Anything that worry, cast your cares into the Lord. Yes, everything. Literally everything. So I was waking up in the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep. I start praying. Lord, whatever this is that's bothering me, I give it to you, God. Every little thing, like small little things. Don't let my mind go there. Don't let my spirit go there. Give it to God. Surrender it all to you and truly surrender it to God. Like, don't keep worrying about it. I know I had spoken about that before, but even though I have been experiencing it, I hadn't been the best practitioner. And I'm still working on being, a practitioner of that, giving it and fully surrendering it to God. And it wasn't until I went to church on Sunday and I really didn't even want to go. I went because I feel like when I don't want to go, that's when I need to go. And I kind of felt like a pulling, like, you need to go to church today. This is where you need to go. You need to go to church today. This is what needs to happen. And so I did. And the presence of God was just so thick. And there wasn't even a word. There wasn't even a word. We just worshiped the entire time. And I got down to the altar, gave it to God. Here it is, God. This is my worship. These are my problems. Have these things. Give them to you. Gone. And in that service, I heard the spirit of release, the spirit of breakthrough, right? It's here and upon. So I'm ready to release it. It's been released already. So now I'm just waiting on the breakthrough. And you can have your breakthrough too. Just wait on the Lord, even when you're tired. When you're tired and you don't feel like it, that's when you need to do it the most. That's when you need to do it the most. And don't try to do it all on your own. Give it to God. Let him be the strength, because there's only so much that you can do for yourself. Give it to God. So I pray that you guys can use this and that it just be something that helps empower you in this season. If you are in this season, or maybe in seasons to come, you're weary, you're not weak, you're made in God's image, and he is strong, and everything that you can do, everything that you are, everything that you have is because of God and the strength of God. So thanks for tuning in, Protege. I'll see y'all next week.